Hi, everybody. So today we're going to show you how we work as a team to develop agentic AI solutions for some of our customers and how we build upon an automation framework built on top of our operations to ownership framework. I hope this helps you, and if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. So first off is I want to explain what is an agent and how you guys can tell the difference between like typical AI tools and agentic AI. So make sure I'm sharing the right one here. So an agent has a request to these three different areas of knowledge, whereas an LLM like ChatGPT has just this kind of cognition standpoint, and you can see them rolling out new features. Like now we can talk to ChatGPT, so that's an audio input. There's now a video input for ChatGPT, and so all of these new ChatGPT language learning models, or sorry, all these language learning models are now starting to move into the world of agentic AI slowly. So they're releasing different tools to be able to interact with the real world. Another one that I saw probably a year ago was the ability to get ChatGPT interacting with physical things in the real world using a tool like Zapier that integrates with physical technologies like your house lights or something like that. So when you have an agent, you're basically giving over more control to be able to use perception, cognition, and action autonomously. That's the key difference between AI and AI agents, is that autonomous factor. So it's important to understand because a lot of these technologies are going to try and replace us as freelancers, and it's important that we understand how to leverage them in our current roles so that we can continue to invest our time in understanding how to make our clients better impacted, and that delivers more value to the work that we're doing and also solidifies our role and our position as the AI experts. So a lot of the people in town, when they're talking about AI experts, they are referencing Crescio. So like in our small city, it's really important that we're maintaining that position. And then for you guys with your freelancer careers, like it's important that you guys are starting to study this because it's going to reshape all of business everywhere. And it's moving way faster than I can even keep up with. So the more you can touch it on a weekly basis, just to understand what the newest technologies are and how to better optimize your role, that solidifies your position with any company. Some of the ways that it's helping save money is like, for example, we can identify a $40,000 loss for one construction project for our client, Streamhome. So if we can build one agent that saves them that amount of money, that's very valuable. Another way that it can save money for us is through the contextual loss. For example, the beta example that I gave in the ops channel. That's a contextual handoff from context that was passed from the client to me and or Anna and then to Facundo. And because we weren't tracking every single detail in that, we lost context. An agent wouldn't lose context. And things like Salesforce rolling out Slack agents, I can pay $2 to have one conversation with an agent, and I can mitigate that data loss of what happened with that client, and it only cost me $2. So now it's like, okay, is it worth $2 to have that agent in our workspace? And it's likely to be a yes, because as we start scaling, we're going to have more of those types of problems of contextual data loss, and something like an AI agent within our Slack workspace can accelerate or can mitigate data loss. So how we're specifically going to be using it is going to be based on lucid charting for mapping, and you can see we have some examples of this. I want to show you this first example that was developed by Nico and myself that shows the key that we'll be using across all of the different flowcharts. It's important that you understand this key because it's more of an industry standard with flowcharts. And depending on who we're talking to, we want to make sure that we're speaking the same language. When we move into the flowcharts for how we're designing it for our customers, Stream Home is a good example of a simpler flowchart. Here you can see we have these swim lanes. So the first swim lane is for the customer, the second one is for the staff, and the third one is for the executive. So we're trying to develop swim lanes per role, and then understanding the user experience between these three stakeholders. And then when we go one step further, Christy has developed this beautiful flowchart for Rocky Mountain enrichment, and this has a swim lane for stakeholders, and then one swim lane for like a future agent, or at least just an automation later for the present day. So we know where we are going to be automating things for that department. And so you can see there's a, volunteers, teachers, and then another swim lane for automation. There's culture management, and then another swim lane for automation. And then typically there will be one data layer. So you can see that in Thrive's flowchart here. We have a singular swim lane for data, which stores all of the databases for our work. Now, this is helpful not only for what we're doing at Cressio, but also for what you guys are doing for your other clients, because if you are thinking in terms of swim lanes and user experiences, you have the opportunity to identify bottlenecks, save time, learn how to automate different aspects, and you can further ground your role within that organization. And then from the flowchart, we're moving into automation. So we're using tools like Zapier. There's another tool like N8N that is very similar to Zapier, but has a little bit more flexibility when it comes down to where you're storing the automations, because Zapier is a cloud-based software. N8N has cloud functionality, but it also has local hosting. So if I wanted to host my own automations in my building, it's a much safer, and it could be more, a more expeditious or faster turnaround time for some of the work. And then we go into Rivet, which is way more advanced than Zapier N8N. And that's where you're actually developing some of the code that happens inside the agent space. So you can think of this kind of scale up of Zapier to N8N to Rivet, and we have that down here. There's three different tutorials that show you how we get a little bit more advanced as we go down. So in general, we're trying to think like architects of automation, trying to figure out how this fits into our client workflows, but also your workflows with Cressio, because if you can save us money or you can make us money, that's very valuable to, we'll save the questions for the end, Christy, in just a few minutes. This is very valuable for how we're going to be working with our agents in the future. And so if you're proposing a solution for Cressio that can save us money, there's more of an incentive for us to want to pay you more because you're saving us money. So our next steps are really just to understand the user experience and decision trees, identify bottlenecks, propose solutions, and then learning and implementation. I've left some links down here for the 3 flowcharts that I have mentioned in this presentation. And then there's also these 2 presentations that we've developed for our clients. And I'm just going to go through those real quick. So this is an ideal world of how the agent will work. if there's a delay with a tile subcontractor of construction firm, there'll automatically be a notification that there's a delay. That will automatically notate, or will automatically notify another subcontractor. Will automatically update the team. Will inform the client. Will reschedule the inspection, and then we'll suggest other slots that we can schedule that same installation. So all of that can happen simultaneously with an agent, but it requires a foundational framework in order to get to agentic AI. So you can think of it simply like this. We have our strategy, our recipe for how we build a successful business. That's called our operations to ownership framework. On top of that, we build an automation workflow, which is similar to what we have here in Thrive, which is basically Zapier. And then we have an AI workflow, which is now we might bring in ChatGPT to engage with the automation workflow. And then we go to agentic workflow, which is really just where we're removing the boundaries of our involvement. So we're providing more autonomy to the agent. And so there's a little bit more details on this one, where you can see how we change from AI workflows to AI agents, as we're increasing our cost, and the AI agent can actually update the process that it used to create the output. So if you imagine that the AI agent is thinking in this kind of framework, and it sees that this is a bad decision tree, it can make the choice to delete that option autonomously. And so that's where we get into like really dangerous territory. We need to know how the agent is thinking and what decisions it's going to make ahead of time, so that we can build proper boundaries, so that if it is updating processes, we know that it's going to do that in a healthy manner, in order to increase the quality output that we've created it for. With that being said, there's a few more resources down here that you can check out, and even a video where I'm walking prospective construction firms through this process. So take a look at those notes in your free time, and the rest of this time we can spend on questions.
Yeah, so like the automation and the AI workflow pieces make a lot of sense, I think, and we use it and we add value through those mechanisms for our customers. But I'm still not entirely clear on AI agent. Like, for example, not AI agent, agentic agent. In my mind, it's like beyond like a typical trigger and an action, right? It's like it's almost like talking to a live human. Like if we think about like a value agent, or maybe it's an ops agent. Like instead of having a customer service person behind the chat, you have a bot like interacting with the customer, right? Like to me, that's a kind of an example of what a agentic agent is. But I'm just trying to figure out, practically speaking, are we in a position where we can offer such a solution to our clients today? And if so, like what kind of tools do you have in mind that we all should be very like familiar with?
Yeah, so we can offer AI agents to customers right now, but between our team, AI agents are a really technical build, and this term is being thrown around a lot. So if we go to Zapier, which I'm still logged in, they now have an agents feature. And in that agents feature, I can create like a lead enrichment agent, which it will walk me through how to build that agent. So if we go to lead enrichment agent, we are basically developing a prompt and the behavior for that, and then telling it what tools to interact with. And then we can test the behavior to go live. But this is kind of like a Wix for AI agents. It's not truly an AI agent. It's more of a GUI platform to build makeshift AI agents, but it accomplishes the same goal. So if we wanted a cheaper solution to building an agent, this would be the pathway, like
Oh,
leverage.
so Zapier. Oh, nice. I didn't
Yeah,
realize we had this.
leverage Zapier because we're paying for it, you know,
Yeah.
and you can think of it this way, like every behemoth tech company is going to launch their own version of agentic AI.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think I've seen it in chatbot. That's the kind
Yes.
of the biggest example of it,
Yeah.
like replacing customer agents. And some companies do it really well. I noticed Shopify does it really well,
Right.
and some companies do it poorly. But I haven't seen any other
Yeah. So
examples.
some
But
of the
yeah.
biggest technologies that are coming out is like ChatGPT. OpenAI is coming out with Operator,
Mm,
which is only in beta for the pro version, but it's like you want to book a flight from South Korea to Canada, you just tell it a prompt to book you the cheapest flight, and it will do the entire process for you.
mm,
That is a thorough agent, right? That is
yeah.
A to Z agent.
Mm,
So we are moving in that direction, and we have to understand how the technology is building on top of itself, but it all comes down to the user experience workflows. And so we need to understand that in order to build toward really valuable agents.
right. I see what you're saying. We got to start with automation, AI automation, then get to agentic AI.
Yeah.
Like, totally makes sense. Do you have an example? Like maybe we could use Rocky Mountain as an example, like a value swim lane agentic AI. Is there something using ChatGPT or Zapier to actually, yeah, like, is there some like specific example that we can get grounded on?
Yeah, so for Rocky Mountain enrichment, you know, we would be working on volunteer coordination. So we could build an agent that could understand the organizational chart of Rocky Mountain enrichment and the current staff, and then automatically post jobs or volunteer positions for Rocky Mountain based on their gaps, and then automatically send them a background check. When it comes back, we can automate this piece where they're accepted or not. We can verify that the contract was signed. We can begin the onboarding training, including building a chatbot that engages with them, so that if there's any questions during the onboarding, they can ask the questions to that. Then we can automatically set schedules, and so, you know, so on and so forth. But an agent would essentially run this entire process front to back, and it would have subordinate agents inside it. So, you know, one agent would be the chatbot, one agent would be the scheduler, and then there would be one master agent that controls all of them.
Got it. And theoretically, it would be done through ChatGPT, Zapier.
No, in that case, we're talking about a really advanced agent. So, you know, you could do the onboarding training in Zapier as like the support agent.
I see.
You know, it's just interacting with email.
Mm.
You know, we could build a support agent for our team so that our customers aren't waiting 24 to 48 hours for a reply from us.
So our goal is to move towards Rivet, right? Like Rivet is a point we want to reach.
I don't know. Like, by the time we would get accustomed to understanding how to code Rivet, another tool is going to come out tomorrow that's going to provide a no-code solution to what Rivet does.
Okay.
So, like, if we were building a really complicated agent like what I just mentioned for Rocky Mountain, we would have to use a tool like Rivet, because we need to go through a lot of different logic tests and run local tests, and that's what Rivet could allow us to do. But the possibilities of these new technologies coming out and being more accessible to non-coders is becoming more and more of a reality. So as long as you're staying on top of the trends using tools like Product Hunt to see what is launching and trying to, see, okay, we have Claude's updating their newest model, and how is that changing? Or, I'm looking at Grok and I'm running tests side by side with Midjourney and Grok using the same prompts, and Midjourney gives me a better visual output. So I'm glad that we're still paying for that, because I know that we can generate better images in that than Grok or ChatGPT. So also there's an AI for that.com as a really good tool. When I taught a ChatGPT workshop back in September of last year, there were only 16,000 AI tools on the platform. Now there's double in, I don't know how many months it's been since September. I need an AI to calculate simple math for me. And then there's also future tools. So if you dance kind of between these three tools, you can find a lot of different AI tools and automation tools that can help our clients as well as yourself.
But yeah, it's all about getting the framework ready, getting a good understanding of what we're going to automate, to then give it to this supposed agent or this master agent. But yeah, I think it's all third party. Like, we have to use Zapier for one thing and then a chatbot for another thing. I don't know where this operator from ChatGPT gets in this process, because I don't know the cost attached to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're in a stage in which, as you say, we don't know the tools, because maybe tomorrow there will be another tool that will be better in doing so. So it's hard for me to imagine something right now.
Yeah. So
I like the essence of this.
To your point, like we're not necessarily using third party because we're trying to be lazy about it. We're trying to build upon automation toward agentic AI. So we would start by flowcharting, which is the tool that we use for flowcharting is Lucid. We would start by automating, because in Zapier, because we already have access to that. If there's a need for a quick agent, we would maybe use Zapier agents, because it's easy to build. We already have access to that. N8N gives us more flexibility for larger customers, and so we may switch from Zapier to N8N in that case. And then if we're really trying to go big, we would maybe switch to Rivet, but that's where we would require like a developer who's knows code, or we have to like highly leverage ChatGPT to give us the right code to insert into Revit. And we get into a lot of complexities. Like if you look at the flow charts in this video of how he's scraping, let me try to show you this flow chart really quick. The difference between this and Zapier is within these little boxes is code that is actively running. That's a much different approach than what we see inside Zapier, which is just the no code solution, and we're just making decisions on if this then that logic.
When you have active code, it's breaking all the time. Instead,
Exactly.
when you have like these action points, these action nodes, it's easier.
Yeah. So this is a little bit more secure right now and more predictable. There's more boundaries, more guardrails, as they say, in the agentic AI space. Whereas with Rivet, you have less guardrails. There's more opportunity for the AI to be autonomous, but that's where we get into more dangerous territory. If there's what I heard when I was studying this is if there's chaos that is generated by an AI agent. For example, if we built an agent to invoice our customers, which is what Jess is helping us with right now, if we were to build an agent for that and the customer never responded, or they paid through Venmo and we didn't reconcile the books, the agent would still be chasing them forever to pay us. And they might have already been paid. They might have, already been let go from working with us. And the agent just wouldn't stop trying to accomplish its goal. So there has to be different protocols, and we have to think in terms of that when we're building everything out. So what I always ingrain in our team members is document your role in terms of SOPs, thinking that you're going to delegate this out to an agent. Because the more you can write that out and articulate the guardrails, the easier it is for us to automate, and then we can move towards agentic AI.
Thanks for the overview. This is really helpful. And
Yeah.
as you kind of get more developments on this front, whether it's video share or like a huddle like this, I think it'll just be helpful for all of us, because we're just not as like ingrained in it as you are. And I think it would just pay off for all of us to kind of be very in depth with it. So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I'd like to mention now that you brought that up is, that's all great on all the side of what we can do with it and how beautiful this innovation is, but there's also the cybersecurity side of things. And if you look at our messaging here from Be Encouraged, we already know last year, the year prior, Frank Sinclair, the co-host of Be Encouraged, got hacked with a deep fake, a really, really exceptional deep fake video, and scammed thousands of people, or hundreds of people out of money, out of thousands of dollars in Colorado. So much so that a few months ago, I started getting a call from one of the departments in Colorado investigating Frank because of the cybersecurity threat. So they thought that Frank was actually scamming people. Frank's an older guy, like he doesn't have technical expertise to scam people. But we got this email from the Be Encouraged show, but it's through this weird email, right? If you look at that, like the Be Encouraged show at beencouraged.net, it sent to, which is not a public facing email, and it is signed by a former team member for Be Encouraged. So what this tells me is they used some sort of AI to scrape our data, and somehow they found our email, our former team member, and it automatically created this email to phish us. And so here's the phishing link where it's probably a virus or something. But this wasn't caught by, ourselves. It was sent to Lisa as well, the co-host, and she almost clicked on the link. She was like, "Oh, is MC still working with us?" So the threats of AI agents impersonating us is becoming more and more real, and we have to know the technology in order to prevent from getting attacked by the technology.
Should we be worried about Zapier? Because you know how it accesses through Google and like some of the tools that actually like can access deep into like our database. Like, should we be worried about
Zapier? Has pretty good authentication. So a lot of the tools that we're either using two-factor, or they have protocols to make sure that, if you're trying to link a news app to an automation, you have to re-authenticate, and a lot of times. So I don't think there's any reason to worry about Zapier. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you guys want to schedule further meetings, feel free to let me know in the general channel, and we'll go from there.